Hello, everybody. Um, Here I am, sitting in the tail end of Tropical Storm Durain. Um, it was funny. Yesterday, well, the past few days, um, I'd go to the gas station or to get, soda or get gas or whatever, and they were out of gas. Everybody's really flipping out this time around. And even back Hurricane Matthew, they they didn't flip out this bad. Matter of fact, we didn't run out of gas until like 2 or 3 days after the hurricane hit, or the tail end of it. We live, a good hour or two away from the ocean, so we don't get much of the storm. But Matthew, we got a lot, basically because the ground was already saturated, and when the dams started breaking and everything else, I got lost in Hope Mills, North Carolina. I didn't get lost, but I had so much trouble getting out of that small town and getting back to Fayetteville, right next door. Normally it'd take me about 5-10 minutes from downtown Hope Mills to get into Fayetteville, and even to get home and farther into Fayetteville. And every exit, it seemed, was closed off, with the exception of the last one, I guess, that I went through. I mean, it took me a good 45 minutes to an hour or more. I can't remember. I was just so frustrated because I was working. I worked through Hurricane Matthew. And I've been a cab driver for roughly 22 years, and I've driven through blizzards and tornadoes, and you name it. And I mean, the weather, I'm not too worried about the weather. I'm just careful, extra careful, and I go slow. As a matter of fact, I took a stranded woman, and I'm assuming is her son, to Jacksonville, North Carolina during Hurricane Matthew. And that was an adventure. That really was an adventure. Um, like I said, I like helping people out, and she couldn't find anybody else. Nobody wanted to travel in the hurricane or after the hurricane. And this was in the middle of the night too. I mean, this is like 3-4 o'clock in the morning. And part of the way there is probably 25% of it is expressway. And it was weird. I will never forget it. I mean, I'd be traveling and you really couldn't see that far ahead because of the cloud coverage. You could barely just see to the end of your headlights. And you think you see something in the distance. And I mean, you're going, 45 miles an hour in a 65, 70 mile an hour zone. And then all of a sudden, whoa, that's a tree, or that's a mudslide in the middle of the expressway, and you practically lock it up. It's hurricanes are something else. I mean, I've experienced, like I said, hailstorms. I've experienced blizzards and tornadoes and stuff like that, but nothing like a hurricane. Of course, I didn't see really bad tornadoes. I've seen bad tornadoes on the news and on documentaries and stuff. I'm a bit of a storm chaser myself. I love to watch the storm. I say that I'm a bad Christian. That way, when you see me screw up, you can't call me a hypocrite. Truth be told, I do try hard. But I just love to see the strength of the weather, and because I correlate that with God somehow. Like, wow, my God is so powerful, and I've always had a dream of just traveling and looking at his creation. Not just his weather, but his creation. And when I became homeless, on my move down here to North Carolina, I had a transmission problem, and I spent a little bit too much money on the way down. But I mean, I wanted to, I'm. It's an adventure for me, and this was over 8 years ago, and I became homeless for months after I got down here because my savings was depleted, and I was sitting out in the country in a beautiful. I mean, it had rust on it, but I mean, it was a beautiful conversion van. It didn't look that good from the outside, but on the inside, it was nice. I really liked it. I miss it a lot. I eventually bought two other ones like it because the Chevy G Series is one awesome vehicle. Excuse me. Long story short, I was sitting out in the country enjoying, I was nervous, but yet I was also, it was a healing time for me, mentally. It was a chance for me to just chill and no worries, no time clock, nothing. I just had to get my license before I could start my new life. So I'm just sitting out there in the country, and I'm thinking, man, if I ever get on my feet, I really want to do something for the homeless. So I got online, and I found out that it's not that hard to start a homeless shelter. Basically, you have to have a place. That's the hardest part of all. And then, they gave you suggestions like just make it for night use only, have them in by 8, 9 o'clock at night and out by 6 in the morning or whatever. And I'm sitting there, and for the first couple of years of being down here in Fayetteville, North Carolina, I'm thinking, and transporting soldiers, and I'm thinking of PTSD and mental illness. Most homeless people have PTSD, I believe. I mean, come on, you see your life, you come home from work after working and your house is on fire. You see your whole life burned up before your very eyes. The memories of photo albums and just the memories of the time that you've had in your living room or your kitchen or whatever is gone. There's nothing left of it. It's up in blazes. That's got to cause PTSD. Or the bank finally gives you a loan, and you pay on it for a while, and then all of a sudden you lose your job. You lose everything. You lose your life. And how do you function after that? Some people might have some friends and relatives that they can stay with for a while. Some might have savings, but usually those savings get depleted and those friends get depleted as well. And eventually you end up on the streets. You try the shelters out, but you find out that the bed bugs are too hard to tolerate. You find out that, there's a lot of thievery going on. There's a lot of drug activity. And there's just, you just don't want to live under those circumstances. So you go into the wild. I call it the wild. You're susceptible to wild dogs. You're susceptible to just people that don't like homeless people and want to pick on them or whatever. And then you experience people looking right through you, and you start feeling like you're invisible and nobody really cares. And so it grew to the point where it's got to cause mental problems. So I also don't believe in giving handouts. I believe that handouts tend to destroy and hand-ups tend to create. So I came up with an idea of why not have a campground out in the country, and where homeless people can come and stay for free. and just work a couple of hours a day for fundraising and maintaining the property. And monthly contributors can come and stay and be served by the residents. I think it could be self-sufficient, especially with solar becoming more and more affordable. I was just looking at the other day at salt. You can make electricity with salt, and they're looking in that direction too. Because we have an overabundance of salt. There is no way we're going to be able to deplete our supply of salt. There's just it just isn't going to happen. And so I'm thinking that's the way to go. And they can stay as long as they want, as long as they're maintaining the rules and maintaining their couple of hours a day, 2 or 3 hours a day. And, they're just healing. The rest of the time is for healing. It's their time they can spend by themselves. And eventually they're going to get healing. Because that's what I got out in the country. That's what I got when I was in my van. Mentally, I got so much healing. And that's what I would like to eventually do. Now, I can't do that on my own. But I can, I can feed a homeless person here and there. And I can, pass out water here and there. And if I see it's in the middle of winter and there's a homeless person that doesn't have a jacket, which is not too often, because there are agencies out there that help, but usually they're overwhelmed and they really can't do enough because there's hardly anybody doing it. Look at the church. The church, that's their commandment from Christ, is to take care of the poor and the least of these. Do they do it? Not really. I mean, there's, the Catholic Church. I'm not Catholic. By the way, I'm very far from Catholic, but I'll tell you what. The Catholics do more for the poor than any other church I've ever known. The Mormons. I'm not Mormon. I'm far from it. They do, believe it or not, I just found out just in the past few years, they do a lot of work for the homeless and poor. Most of their missionaries, a lot of their missionaries will go out and help rebuild after a hurricane. And they will help clean up. And they will, they do a lot of work for the poor. And so on and so forth. But it's still not enough. Especially in a capitalist society. A capitalist society, my personal belief, and I'm sure if you really look at this, you'll see it too. We that are born in a capitalist society are greedy. That's the root of all evil. The love of money is the root of all evil. And I also go as far as to say, if the love of money is the root of all evil, then how is money related to the love of money? Very directly. So I believe that money is evil too. Now, is it wrong for us to use something that's evil? I think if you're using it for a positive reason, for self-sustaining, and for helping other people out, furthering the kingdom of God. I think if you look at your tax statement at the end of the year, you look at that and you look at it closely. How much did you spend on yourself? And how much did you spend on furthering the kingdom? If it's only a 10% and a little bit more, you ain't done anywhere enough. And the rest goes on you, that shows a real good indication that you're greedy. Now, yeah, there's some people that are dirt poor. But, I mean, they can do other things for the poor. They can physically do stuff for the poor. And at the very least, if they're disabled, severely disabled or something, and can't do anything for the poor, then they can pray for the poor. You know, that's the biggest thing that I ask of people, is to pray for us. Now, I started this YouTube channel to help get the word out, and the only thing I ask here is your prayers. Press like and subscribe. Because once we get over 1,000 subscribers, then YouTube will pay us. We'll contribute. And, you know, yeah, let YouTube help pay for this. And maybe in 10 years from now, if the Lord tarries, then YouTube would be the one that funds all of the homeless refuge. That's pretty much the gist of the vision of Sojourners. I called it Jerry's Place for a long time because my brother has done this for years. He's taken people into his house and would take care of them. And matter of fact, he even took me and my other brother in from time to time, for long periods of time, you know, for months on end. And he would take care of us, and, you know, he did good. He took in some drug addicts, and one thing I won't tolerate, zero tolerance, is drug activity and violence. Matter of fact, any homeless person that wants to come and stay at the refuge, they have to sign a statement that if they're involved with any kind of violence or any kind of drug use, illegal drug use, they will be asked to leave, and they will voluntarily pack their stuff up and leave. That, and as soon as they're asked to move. And zero tolerance for it. Now, if they go out and, you know, a month or so later, they come back and they say, okay, can I come back? I'm sorry, it won't happen again. We'll take that on a case-to-case basis and probably accept them back. But they will be drug tested. Matter of fact, the first thing I want them to do is be drug tested and have periodic drug testing where everybody gets drug tested every 6 months. Not all at once, but maybe a few people every week. In 6 months, everybody's been drug tested. And if they're found positive, they have to pack their stuff and go. My brother, not the one that I was talking about that took us in, my other brother overdosed of heroin. And I have some serious, strong beliefs. You may disagree with me, and I can respect that, and hopefully you can respect my belief on this too. But I believe that drug addicts need to be humanely quarantined, and drug dealers need to be prosecuted for murder. That would significantly reduce drug activity. It'll always be with us. You know, it's just like the poor. It'll always be with us. Jesus said that. But I have no tolerance for that. I don't. I hate looking at a drug addict and seeing the pain in their life. But this video has been going long, and usually I want the videos to last no more than 10 minutes, or somewhere around 5 to 10 minutes. But real quick to try to give you a history of Sojourners at this point. Most of the time we've been called Jerry's Place, the Refuge. But now I'm changing it to Sojourners. Sojourners just mean travelers. And if you're a Christian, you're a traveler. The Bible says that it teaches that Christians are travelers. We're only temporary residents here. This is not our home. We're just traveling through this portal of time in this time. And I'm the major. Nothing glorified about me. I can't do this on my own. God really does most of the work. And he also has other people help out. But we have done blanket drives. We have fed the homeless. We've done some fundraising, but since I'm the major coordinator of all this, we haven't done much for about a year and a half, because I developed some severe infections in my leg. As a matter of fact, I had staph, MRSA, and cellulitis. And it took me, I dealt with that for 2 years. First year, I tried to fix it on my own. I didn't know what it was. And then by the time I got to the hospital, it just was infected so bad I had to go to the wound clinic 3 or 4 times a week and have them clean it. I mean, that was excruciating pain. They, not to get graphic, but they scraped my wound and to get the infection out, and that is excruciating pain. There's no way I could have done anything. And so, long story short, I've just been struggling to try to get this going. I thought I'd be able to get it faster, but every time I turn around, I see something else that we need to do, and so I have to save up and get it. And a lot of people have helped out too. You know, they've donated a canopy. They donated what else did they? Chairs, and just some people have donated stuff and contributed financially too. Those of you that have, I want to thank you again. I couldn't have made it this far without you. And there's a Facebook page too. That's still called Jerry's Place to Refuge. I think that I'm going to try to figure out how to change the name on that too to Sojourners. But I'm computer stupid. I barely know how to upload videos onto YouTube, and I do know a little bit about normal Facebook, but as far as group stuff, I don't know. I don't even know how to edit videos. So these videos, at least for a while, will not be edited. Now, I see the clock, and I've gone over 22 minutes, almost 23 minutes now. So I'm going to go ahead and end this. If you have any questions, please ask them in the comment section below. And please, all I'm asking is to take your finger, hit subscribe, and hit the bell notification on YouTube, and you will be getting notifications every time we put out a new video. Watch us grow. Watch us do the fundraising. I have a banner. I've got the banners in the canopy, and I've got business cards. Hopefully, the next video will be in showing you that stuff. But I watch us grow. Be a part of this growth. Be a part of something bigger than you are. Do something for people that you don't know about, and watch what happens. You will be amazed.